Hey everyone, welcome back to the Suzanne and Sarah Real Estate Investing Podcast. We are once again on different sides of the screen and different hemispheres, but guess what, guys? If you're watching this video, you can see we're matching and we're aligned.
Yes, we don't plan this either.
That's how much we love each other. We are connected in all the ways, even when we're not together. Anyways, back to real estate. We are here to talk about what's going on this week in our local real estate market and beyond. And I think we would agree that week over week, our market's feeling flat. We've had a ton of precipitation and snow accumulation, and I think people are just enjoying that and hunkering down, but we're still doing some deals.
For sure. So the main theme of today's podcast is about how important communication is in real estate. And that sounds very generic, but stay tuned because we have some really specific stories that I think will bring that concept to life that are completely different. So we'll talk about that. Let's just start in with the local real estate market. We just got the Beacon report, which is the tracking group, an appraisal group here in Bend that tracks the real estate market. And we always crunch those numbers every single month. And we look at past trends to help us predict the future. And that's important for ourselves and for our clients so people know what to expect. We're not always right. History doesn't always predict the future, but it's a great indication. What we saw from January, so it's always a lagging indicator, right? So we just got the numbers from January and it was essentially same but different. That was the theme of the real estate market. In January, it was basically $35,000 higher than last month. It was $35,000 higher than last year. And the only real indicator that moved a lot was days on market. And it was actually the highest since they changed how they track days on market, which is interesting. So 53 days on market. And they changed the tracking back in April of 2020. So that was like, who knows like when it was higher, but the next highest was February of 2023. So I think that's interesting. We always tell our buyers and our sellers for different reasons that winter is the time where deals are had. And if you're a seller, you can expect to sell at a discount. If you're a buyer, you can expect to buy at a discount and have more time to evaluate your options. And that's exactly what we saw in January. And we expect to see an uptick in price in February. We expect to see days on market going down, and we'll continue seeing more and more transactions closing as we get closer into the spring months.
Yeah. Thank you. We're going to move on to our client and industry PSAs and what's happening in our industry that I think all of us should be aware of and know for ourselves, and also to be able to convey to our clients. And something we're reminded of a few times this week was that inspectors are generalists. We have had a couple home inspections recently where there's lots of things that come up on the home inspection report, but the context is not there for the home inspector to be able to go into detail as to why certain things appear the way they are. And that's important. There's so many things that are specific to homes that the home inspector cannot see. And they're obligated to write into the inspection report what they see with their eyes, not what they know. That can cause issues sometimes. And this is where communication, in a very practical sense, comes into play.
100%. The first example of why communication is so important in real estate transactions is a sale that we luckily still have pending.
But we might not.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, stay tuned for next week. We'll keep you posted. So the reason we have it pending still today as we record this is because we connected parties directly. And I think this is also a PSA for people in our industry. Our role as real estate agents is to be the conduit of communication. We're the layer in between so that we can keep everything moving, keep things smooth. And sometimes we have found in certain situations, and this particular deal is one, that it's more helpful to connect parties directly. And when I say parties, buyer and seller, buyer and contractor. And it's just really important to do that in some cases because people need to hear information from the source, from the experts, not the generalists. We have to be like those inspectors. We are generalists as well. We know a lot. We're experts in real estate investing, but we're not experts in foundation work or mold remediation. And those are two potentially deal breaker items that have come up on one home inspection. And that is why it almost fell apart. But we are really good at our jobs. And our goal was not just to sell this house and put the hard sell on our buyers. Not at all. It was, we don't want you to have any regrets. And when these buyers told us that they wanted to terminate on Tuesday night, one of them sent us a broken heart emoji. And that means, in my mind, that they're sad. They're not quite done. In the 24 hours from getting the broken heart emoji text to last night, Wednesday night, we did a ton of hustling. And that hustling was speaking to the experts, talking to the seller ourselves, talking to the foundation engineer, talking to the mold remediation company, getting their permission for our buyer to contact them, and then asking the buyers, hey, if you can connect with these people and we can throw in a few other things that make you feel confident in this deal, are you willing to ride it out another week? We'll extend your inspection period. We'll see what else is important to you. And there's no risk to you. There's no cost. Your earnest money is protected. Why not try? And that's what we did this week. And so far, we are still under.
Yeah, absolutely. Our job is always from the get-go, as soon as we get someone under contract, of course, is to help our clients do the diligence on these properties, see the things that they couldn't see with their own two eyes when they toured it, and protect their earnest money to all ends. And the way we've structured this, it, in my opinion, just seems like a no-brainer. We've set it up to where the seller has said, hey, I will fix literally everything on this home inspection report, which doesn't happen very often, guys. Not only will I fix everything on this inspection report, I'll pay for the reinspection. I will help facilitate conversations directly. And I agree to, as Suzanne already said, yeah, extend the inspection deadline so their earnest money is further protected. So my perspective is, hey, give the seller a chance to do his job, right? To prove to you that he is willing to fix everything that was a concern of yours, and or you can have conversations about the general things that you saw and learn more about what is actually happening in reality. Sometimes we are the filters and we protect our clients from stressful situations and things that are not relevant to the transactions that they don't need to know. But other times it's our job to step away and connect people with people who have more information than we do. So that's what's happening in this case. We're crossing our fingers that our buyers give it a chance, really. And another piece of this that we haven't mentioned already is what we know is that they're getting a really good deal on this property. Given their taste and finishes and the location that they want, this home is a really good deal. And we know as real estate investors that part of building wealth and equity comes with sometimes moving towards things that other people are afraid of and potentially don't want. And part of that is just these relationships and this communication and putting everybody together on the same page to make sure the deal looks like you want it to look like. And that's something that other people aren't often willing to do, putting in the work to do. So maybe Suzanne and I are wasting a bunch of our time right now trying to keep this deal together and trying to move this along, but also maybe we're not. So that's part of the risk we run and the role we play and what we do, but it's all good and it's fun. And we're developing more relationships as we do this. And of course, as always, we are learning more about specialty items as we move on, but that's that story.
I love it.
And yeah, we've got one more story too.
We do have another story, and I want you to tell this one, Sarah, because it's the opposite. Let me just say this. It's the opposite of the broken heart emoji. It is like the big red heart emoji kind of story.
Yeah. So this one's more the smiley face with the hearts around the head emoji. I don't know what we call these, but I'm sure they have names. But in one of our buyer transactions right now, it was one of the situations where we recommended that our buyers write the sellers what's known as a love letter in our industry. So this is a personal letter from our buyer to our seller that we submit with the offer. As a little side, once upon a time, these were considered controversial in our market. They went away for a little while, but they've now come back and sellers can decide whether to consider these or not. But there are some occasions where we decide these are a good idea to submit. And it's usually when it's very clear that the seller has taken a lot of care in their home, that they live there for a long time, that it's extremely well maintained, and that, yeah, it's a home that feels well loved. And this was one of those cases. Oftentimes we have this done when there's multiple offers, but in this case, there wasn't. It was just one of the situations where our buyers, I could feel that they related strongly to the sellers on multiple levels. And I just thought, I don't know, I just thought it would be a good occasion for them to share their feelings and potentially create more meaningful connection through something that is sometimes just very transactional. So they submitted this letter. The sellers loved it. They did end up accepting their offer. It really set the tone for, yeah, just a smooth transaction moving forward, especially moving through the home inspection and us submitting our repair addendum and then being willing to do the things, the items that came up on the repair addendum that our buyers requested. And they loved this letter so much that they actually wrote our buyers back a letter themselves in response, which is the first time this has ever happened. And we were able to deliver that to our buyers. And this just really sealed the deal, I think, in that they know that these sellers care so much about their home that they're willing to share personal details about themselves and the home, and they've expressed that they want to meet our buyers in person and show them firsthand around their home about all sort of the inner workings and things. And like, really nothing shows pride of ownership, I think, more than a seller willing to show their face to a buyer, because there's really nothing to hide then. And creating those direct relationships, once again, just makes everything feel real good. So that's that story.
I love that. I want more of that.
No doubt. So our client PSA of the week then would be, hey, if we've set you up for success, if we are facilitating the communication that you've asked for or that you haven't even asked for, the communication that you didn't even know you needed, if you've presented your list of problems to us and we've brought you a whole list of solutions and we're still doing our job of protecting your earnest money, what's the risk in giving it a chance, right? Move forward until there's a hard no. And that actually brings me to another client. We've been exploring this development opportunity for a client, and we toured this property. It's got a home on it and it's ripe for development. Really highest and best use for this property is development. It's something that this client with very ambitious goals wants to get into. Suzanne and I want to learn more about it. He's loyal to us and he's willing to bring us along for the ride to learn with him. So we helped set up a meeting for him with someone who we know from our sphere who owns a development company, does lots of land development, multifamily development, and syndication. So we were in that meeting, we went through everything, and basically at the very end of the meeting, he shot down our client's initial plan. And I loved that, right? I love that we were able to find someone who said, I wouldn't buy this, I wouldn't do this, and go back to the drawing board, right? But what's happened since then is this client has told me, listen, I'm not going to just stop because one person told me no. I'm going to keep moving forward until I really hit a true roadblock. And that is, in my opinion, the true investor mindset, right? You keep moving forward until it's truly something that you can't do. You can pivot and go around that no and figure out why it was a no and keep developing your idea further and further. And I think it's really valuable to have someone on your team who can have that really objective view and is willing to tell you when they think something is a bad idea or isn't going to work. So that was exciting for me. To develop that relationship. And he's really gone off the deep end. He's figured out what it takes to do syndications. He has a whole offering memorandum written up for a specific 22 unit building. Like, he is ready and roaring to go for his next deal, but we're still working on solving some of his challenges, which in his case is financing. So we're exploring syndication a little bit more, but lots of fun things happening there. The point is, keep going. If it doesn't cost you money and all it's costing you is time in this case, and it's something that you want and something that's part of your goal, that's why we're all here, is just to work together and keep plugging forward.
For sure. And I will just say, all of these conversations for us help us be even better agents for you, because we know more. We're establishing all these new connections in the development space, in the syndication space. And that just helps you have an expert in so many more things with us.
Heck yeah. No, it's really fun. We are going to do a development deal, Suzanne, and it's going to be fun. We're on our way. So, highlight of the week, there's been so many things, really. Let's just be honest. Yeah, like Monday this week, what did we do, Suzanne?
We did the most epic thing I think I've ever done in my life.
Really?
We went snowmobiling with Octane Adventures up at Newberry National Volcanic Monument,
Very good.
which is the fancy name for Paulina Lake and Paulina Peak, which is right in La Pine. You guys, for me, this was so exciting because I live 5 minutes away from where we went, and I never live 5 minutes away from anywhere we go because I live in La Pine, which is part of the charm, right? So it was so cool for us to go up there. There was a ton of fresh snow and it was super cold. We got up to the base of Paulina where the road is closed seasonally. So they close it in like October. They won't reopen it until May. And this is where Octane Adventures has their warming hut and all of their snowmobile equipment up there. And it was 10 degrees and beautifully sunny, like bluebird skies, cold, crisp. Like, the reason you move to Central Oregon and love the winter, it can be 10 degrees, but that sun shines on you and it is amazing. So what happened after we got there, Sarah?
We hopped on some snowmobiles.
Wait, what about the gear? The amazing gear that they provided us.
Okay, because I came with a cute jacket because I wanted to look cute despite my face. And
We'll
talk
get to
about
the face in a minute.
Yeah. Not my face, just generally all the time. Yeah. So they had great gear. What am I going to say about this? They had great gloves for dexterity because you need to be able to use your fingers for things like brakes and acceleration. Little did I know, because I've never been on a snowmobile before. And they had a very nice windproof jacket for me to wear, to put over my cute jacket, and a great helmet and a balaclava. Anyways, the point is, it was cold, but we were warm and so comfortable and very safe. We hopped on some snowmobiles. We went and we checked out frozen Paulina Lake, and then we took the snowmobiles up to Paulina Peak for amazing views of all the mountaintops around us, and we checked out frozen waterfalls, and then went and toured a pretty cool house on the Little Deschutes River as well. So that was so fun, and I agree with Suzanne in the context of just, wow, that was truly, I wouldn't have expected this. That was truly one of the most fun things I've ever done. I typically don't like machines. I used to not like sitting on tractors, things that vibrate and smell funny, whatever. But it was really so much fun, and highly recommend for anybody looking for a unique adventure in Central Oregon in the winter. It's a no-brainer for sure. So go get it, guys.
Go get it. Book a 4-hour snowmobile tour on a weekend. You'll ride for 2 hours. They'll take you to Paulina Lake Lodge. You can get lunch, one drink, and then get back on for the next hour and see the waterfalls, come back and high five your guide, because these guides are so well trained. They have their wilderness first responder certification, which means that they can splint you or tourniquet you out there if you need it. And like, I say that not to scare people, but like, these are really fast machines, and like, they're serious, and they give you a really good safety orientation. So you know how to use the machines, you know what the risks are, you know how to position your hands for the brakes, and it's just good to know that they got your back if you need it when you're out there, because you can get as crazy as you want on these machines and make it even more epic. But for me, going 42 miles an hour down a groomed, snowy path was more than enough adrenaline.
For sure, I agree. Yeah, that and just their energy and enthusiasm for what they do is just infectious. They clearly love their jobs. They clearly love where they live. And you learn a lot about the geology and history of the area here too, which I always love because it opens your eyes more and gives you a greater appreciation for the beautiful place that we live. That was definitely a highlight.
Yes. And I just want to clarify, why were we snowmobiling on a Monday, Sarah?
Because we were filming for our American Dream TV episode number 5. Yes. So that's something we do every 60 days, in case you didn't know about that already. We'll definitely put a link to our past episodes in the show notes here today, so you can check them out. We have a lot of fun. And hey, sellers, listen up. If you have a unique property that you want featured on a nationally, exactly, to get millions of views, we would love to be your listing agents and help you do that. So give us a call, send us a message, and we can chat about that too. So a little plug there, but we've got some great connections and we know what we're doing. We have a lot of fun.
Perfect. Sarah, you mentioned something about filming and your face. So let's talk about the low light and what happened, the reality of doing demo.
Totally. A little trauma, a little emergency room visit this weekend. Saturday afternoon in our new house, was doing some demo on wood flooring using a pry bar and a hammer. And it had been a while since I had done flooring demo, I'm just going to be honest, and I wasn't really in a great groove. And there was just a sticky piece, a piece that was real wedged, and I got real excited with the pry bar and I got it up, but the piece of wood flew up and hit me in the lower right corner of my face, and things went black pretty quick and it was pretty painful. And I looked down and I had a big pool of blood in my gloved hand. And Matthew took a look at me and he said, "Oh, I think you need stitches." And yeah, I got 5 stitches in my face on Saturday afternoon. My children went with me. They held my hand, and that was a first for me. And I didn't lose any teeth. That's the good news here, but definitely still a little swollen today. Husband took out my stitches yesterday, the good guy that he is, and healing up. It was a clean cut, didn't go all the way through. My lip could have been a lot worse, but I don't ever have to do that again. But if I do, stitches weren't terrible. So, but yeah, I texted Suzanne, "Hey, here's a photo of my face. It's better suited for Halloween right now. Do you think that we should still do the ADTV episode?" And she's, "Yeah." And I was like, "I'm so glad we did, because man, I wouldn't have wanted to miss that." And whatever, like, it's just a glimpse in time. And honestly, I just, my ego in that way is not that big. I really don't care. You get what you get.
Balaclava really did cover it up for most of the episode. Those are like the things that go all the way around your whole face and your head. They make you look like a seal, basically.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Yeah, not very attractive, not cute, not cute. But we were warm and on brand with the activity. So that's what we got there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, let's switch gears and talk about updates with our personal investing and portfolios.
Yeah, not a huge update coming from me here, but last we talked, I had one of our fourplex buildings in St. Louis under contract with a wholesaler, and we're coming towards the end of their inspection period when they would have had to deposit earnest money. And for any of us who have worked with wholesalers before, no one's going to deposit earnest money without a buyer ready to go. And supposedly this wholesaler had a buyer ready to go, but he dropped out because what he told me was that the last seller, the last owner, and I'm a little skeptical about this. I have a feeling it might have actually been the last seller's agent, who I don't have a great relationship with, told them that it's a problem building. And that was crappy. We measure deals in St. Louis a lot differently than we measure deals here in Central Oregon. There have to be much greater margins on things. And we were close. We were fine on purchase price, but it's just sad. People are speaking out of line and either trying to sabotage or really just don't know what they're talking about. Because sure, when we purchased this building, we got it at a great price, and it certainly was a problem building. And it was a problem building because of the tenants we adopted. But we have since replaced every single tenant in that building. We have a fully occupied building that is completely stable at this point. No outstanding issues in this building. Everyone pays rent on time. It's a great building, honestly. I'm just shifting. That's the only reason why I'm selling these. And this is the one that I think should be the easiest to sell. So anyways, I was not trying very hard to sell this. This was just like, we posted this on Facebook. A wholesaler reached out. We let him get under contract. Sure, give it a try. I was certainly not holding my breath. I haven't put a lot of energy towards this again because I'm not desperate. But yeah, that's the update in my real estate life. Yeah.
And I can give an update on one of my private money deals. So we lent out multiple six figures to an investor on December 19th, I think, thereabouts. And it was meant to be a quick turnaround, which is why we agreed to do that much. And found out a couple of weeks ago that they already had an offer on the house, and we should have that closed at the end of February. So just 2 more weeks and that deal will be closed, and we'll be recirculating the money on the next deal.
Some true passive investing there, man. I can't wait to hear more when you share more at the meetup event with us about what those returns look like and how you're structuring those deals. So again, in the show notes, you'll see a link to our meetup page where you can join our meetup group. And we hold monthly investor meetups with lots of really great educational topics. And Suzanne will be presenting on private money loans and her experience with those. So that's exciting.
We had a couple of other exciting things happen this week. We had our Realty One Group Discovery team meeting yesterday, and we got some accolades, which were pretty exciting. So this is our second year being the top producing team within our brokerage, and we are honored to have that recognition and another little one finger trophy on our shelf.
Yeah.
Sarah, you should show it.
This is what these look like. One's from 2023 and one's from 2024, but I don't know. It's fun. It's pretty exciting. Honestly, it's fun being a big fish in a little pond, and we pretty much blew everyone out of the water 2 years in a row. And if you really break it down, we're technically the top producing single agents too, if you really want to get technical. But I guess we can only really be identified as one as a team, since that's what we are. But that's fine. That's fine. It's all good. Anyways, this is fine. We've had some really great agents join our brokerage since we came on. And we may or may not continue this trend in 2 years forward, but we'll certainly value it while we have it and just appreciate all the professionals that we're surrounded by. And be happy for whomever in the future gets these awards, but pretty cool while it lasts. And we'll, of course, continue on the upward trajectory ourselves. But yeah, we've got some people doing some pretty high dollar transactions in our brokerage and also high volume as well. But what's cool about Suzanne and I is not only high dollar or high volume, it's both for us. Our average transaction amount is pretty high and we do quite a few as well. So
Yes,
that's
we
fun.
do.
And then the other thing that we were able to honor yesterday was that Suzanne in 2024 got her principal broker's license, which is an extremely grueling process. It takes a lot of time to go through all of the educational material, and it's a really difficult test. And Suzanne just put her head down and studied for several days straight and took that test and busted out on try one. And yeah, so we've got a principal broker on our team now, and that can only go to someone who's been in the industry for 3 years plus. And Suzanne's in her 11th year of being licensed, and super exciting for that. Man, I don't think she'll be taking on the role as managing principal broker here anytime soon.
No, that is not anything I aspire to. And I appreciate all of the work of the managing principal broker in our office,
Yeah.
because that is not my desire to do that. All right. So, Sarah, the recap of the top lessons from today's episode are: number one, communication is key for different reasons, for different emojis. If you remember, we don't want any broken heart emojis. We want the little face surrounded by all the heart emojis in all of our transactions. And that is really what happens with good, direct communication in some instances where it's needed between parties, buyers, sellers, buyers, experts. So important.
Absolutely. Communication's key between clients, between agents, and also between colleagues.
Yes, ma'am.
Secondly, everyone has their roles, obviously, in transactions, but some of us, our roles are to be more generalists, more filters, tell you things exactly as we see them for face value, but that only goes so far in some instances. And that's where we circle back to the communication piece. And it's in some instances and several instances, especially when it comes to home inspections and the inspection period, it's super important to get really specific in terms of contract language and just really understanding what's going on behind the scenes, like what you cannot see from face value. So never assume right away, always be curious and always ask questions before reacting, really. Give people a chance to do their job and then make educated decisions.
Thank you all so much for joining us today on another episode of the Real Estate Investing Podcast with Suzanne and Sarah. If you are enjoying our podcast, which why wouldn't you? You should definitely subscribe so you don't miss an episode, because we keep it real here. We tell you the good, the bad, the crazy of real estate, and we have a lot of fun. So subscribe, leave us a review, and if there's something you want to hear more of or less of, let us know that too. We will see you next week. Thanks, everyone.
Bye, guys. Yeehaw.